Today, Russian gas to Europe is cut off. South Korea's ousted president is defiant in the face of possible arrest, and President Biden sends more money to Ukraine. From TLDR News, this is your first daily briefing of 2025 for Thursday, the 2nd of January. For our main story today, Europe's Russian gas era has finally come to an end. Russia's once dominant gas supply to Europe via Ukraine, which flowed for decades, officially ended yesterday, following Ukraine's decision not to renew a 5-year gas transit agreement with Russia, which provides the EU with 5% of its gas imports. Signed in 2019, the deal allowed the Russian state gas giant Gazprom to pump natural gas via Russia's oldest gas route to Europe, the so-called Brotherhood Pipeline. The pipeline crosses Ukraine's northeastern border near Sudzha before running southwest across the Dnipro River and then westward over the border near Uzhgorod. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky defended Ukraine's decision not to renew the contract, arguing that it is shameful for countries to worry about small increases in the cost of fuel when Ukrainians are losing their lives defending against Moscow's invasion. For context, despite a bloc-wide commitment to end reliance on Moscow by 2027, a handful of EU countries, including Slovakia, Hungary, and Austria, have continued to buy Russian gas through this route, which in 2023 accounted for about 65% of their gas demand. Now, gas prices have jumped in recent days, and some in Europe who are still reliant on Russian gas are fearing a full-blown energy crisis. Yesterday, residents of the breakaway pro-Russian region of Transnistria were left without central heating or hot water. Transnistria even declared a 30-day economic emergency last month in anticipation of the energy shortage, and Moldova implemented its own state of emergency in the energy sector, as fears mounted over the potential humanitarian impact of reduced gas supplies this winter. Nevertheless, the Ukrainian energy minister has called the cutoff a historic event and said that Russia is losing its market and will suffer financial losses. Sales of gas via the Ukrainian pipeline have continued to generate billions of dollars in annual revenue for Moscow, as well as around $1 billion in transit fees for Ukraine. Vladimir Putin has, however, argued that Gazprom will, quote, survive, and Slovakia's prime minister argued that the EU, not Russia, will suffer from this agreement. The Slovakian Prime Minister, who's friendly with Russia's Vladimir Putin, meeting with him in Moscow for a surprise visit over the Christmas holidays to discuss gas supplies, has previously argued that the end of the deal will drive up costs for the EU and hit the bloc's competitiveness, as well as increasing energy prices in Slovakia. Fico also warned that he could take reciprocal measures, including stopping electricity exports to Ukraine. However, Ukraine's energy minister has called out Fico's threats as a bluff. Even if Fico follows through with his threats, Kyiv could replace the lost power with imports from Romania and Poland. In fact, Warsaw has already offered support in case of a cutoff. Now, there's more on the way, but remember to subscribe and ring the bell for more daily briefing tomorrow. Plus, if you want to support the channel like Jacob True, then consider joining the TLDR Daily membership program for just $1.99. Now, while we're away for the Christmas break, South Korea's tumultuous times only continued. The country suffered its worst ever aviation disaster when Jeju Air Flight 2216 belly landed at Mulan Airport on December 29th, overshooting the runway and crashing into a concrete structure, killing 179 of the 181 people on board. Today, South Korean police said that they'd raided Jeju Air's offices and the offices of the Muan airport operator as part of an investigation into the fatal crash. Meanwhile, the country's political drama has also continued to escalate. The impeached president, Yoon Suk-yeol, remains defiant and vowed to fight to the end after a court approved a warrant for his arrest as part of an investigation into abuse of power and insurrection related to his botched attempt at declaring martial law last month. The arrest warrant was approved after Yoon ignored multiple requests to appear for questioning and blocked attempts to search his office. Yoon's legal team have claimed that the police could face arrest by the Presidential Security Service if they seek to detain Yoon. Yoon also faces pressure on multiple other fronts, with the criminal investigation parallel to the Constitutional Court trial that will either confirm or overturn his impeachment and removal from office. That's not all, though. The opposition-controlled National Assembly voted to impeach the man, Han Duck-soo, who stepped in as acting president for his refusal to fill vacancies in the Constitutional Court. The country's new acting president, Finance Minister Choi Sang-muk, South Korea's second interim leader in just a matter of weeks, said earlier this week that he would move to fill those court vacancies. Moving to the US now, where outgoing President Biden has sent an additional $5.9 billion of aid for Ukraine ahead of President Trump's inauguration. Both presidents appear to have very different approaches to Ukraine, though. Biden has been keen to support Ukraine's fight against Putin's illegal invasion, but Trump has criticized the US's decision to provide military assistance. Presumably aware that such assistance will likely come to an end when Trump takes office later this month, President Biden today signed off on the $5.9 billion support package, with him stating that the United States will continue to work relentlessly to strengthen Ukraine's position in this war over the remainder of my time in office. And finally, it's been reported that in the last 48 hours, a man in New Orleans intentionally drove his car into a crowd of people. The attack took place on New Year's Day in the French Quarter of the city and killed at least 15 people, while injuring many others. Officials have confirmed that a black ISIS flag was waved from the rear of the car, and that, as such, the attack is being investigated as an act of terrorism. Additionally, the FBI has determined that mere hours before the attack, the suspect had posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS and that he had a desire to kill. As things stand, though, the FBI are still looking into other suspects. That's because they believe that the current suspect didn't work alone, and are working to determine what links the suspect may have to other terrorist groups. Additionally, law enforcement are also looking into whether the attack is linked to the explosion of a Tesla Cybertruck outside of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, which happened only a few hours after the attack in New Orleans. So it looks like 2025 is off to a pretty intense start all over the world, which makes sense, considering that 2024 wasn't exactly a normal year itself, with billions of people headed to the ballot box to elect new leaders. In fact, with the majority of the democratic world voting, there's a good chance that you missed something weird, interesting, or exciting that happened. So if you want to head into 2025 feeling on top of everything that happened last year, or if you want something to commemorate the crazy year we just went through in politics, then consider picking up a copy of our magazine, Too Long, where the election special dives deep into 29 major elections from around the world. We don't just discuss elections, though. We also run through China's trade issues, Biden's successes and failures, the UK's new opposition leader, and the state of the wars in Ukraine and Gaza. Plus, the fact it's a magazine also means that we're not constrained by the time limits or algorithms imposed by YouTube. Unlike fleeting news cycles and algorithmic feeds, Too Long offers thought-provoking analysis and comprehensive coverage that's truly worth holding. Purchasing is also a great way to support the channel. Running TLDR in 2024 cost just over £800,000. So if you've enjoyed our coverage, then picking up a copy of Too Long doesn't just get you high-quality reporting, it also allows you to invest in independent journalism and join us in shaping the future of news. Also, if you want to support us long-term, you can also subscribe to Too Long to get a copy every 4 months. As a thank you, subscribers also get 25% off every issue as long as they stay subscribed, which is pretty huge. Find out more and pick up a copy at toolong.news or by clicking the link in the description. Thanks for your support, and thanks for backing Too Long.